and now they have a lot of freedom, because if Origen don't lock in their support now, which they probably won't, it means that Fnatic can get themselves something like a Zyra Khan if they want to, or they can go for a Kai'Sa here because the thing about Aphelios is he's actually been nerfed on the current patch, which means his laning is weaker, and while he can still be oppressive, it's nowhere near as oppressive as it was, which means champions like Kai'Sa, who scale very well and can act as a very effective dive onto champions like him, I think pair very nicely into him. So I like the cheeky Olaf over there.
Well, it hasn't been locked in yet, so it could still be an Olaf pick, Vedius. Like, I
don't think they're gonna play Olaf again, mate.
I agree with you, but I'm leaving the options open. It's the Senna locked in, might be teamed up with the Time Kench. I do want to bring attention to the very early Rumble lock from Origen. It's not common that you see Rumble locked this early on in a draft.
Yeah, and I accidentally wrote down Rumble in the wrong place. The blind Rumble does surprise me. I'm not sure why they've done it. They didn't want to lock in the jungler, unless it's Jungle Rumble, which it might be. It was an OG pick from Xerxes back when he joined the league in 2017. I think he joined the league in 2017.
Yeah.
With the Unicorns of Love, I think. And he used to play Rumble, Zac, and there was one more that he used to play that I can't remember off the top of my head. Warwick, yeah, that was his other one. You're correct. And yeah, so there's a possibility of it. I don't expect it. I think that it's more likely going to be in the mid or top lane. I know that Alfari is a pretty competent Rumble player, and I'm trying to think now what the bans suggest, because with the Yasuo taken off the board, I'm not actually sure why. I guess they want to deny the Gragas Yasuo combo, because I can't think of any specific picks that you'd be afraid of if you want to take away the Yasuo. I really like this Jarvan ban. I think it's super smart, because Jarvan's one of the few champions that, while having very high early game impact, will always offer late game value just because of the amount of utility that he can provide, and he can just go full tank. So I think denying that from Origen is great, and if you force Xerxes onto one of these early game junglers like Lee Sin, which he doesn't really play, Elise, which he's probably not going to play because you already have Rumble, or a Olaf or Rek'Sai, as Origen, you're going to feel pretty comfortable. So yeah, I think the bans so far from Fnatic are looking pretty good.
I agree with that. I wonder if Zac is one other option that I could see Xerxes going towards. It provides
You're right. Yeah, it's not terrible. Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with the Jarvan ban being strong against that. There's Alfari's Maokai being banned away as well. So Whipper wants an easier lane in the top lane, or one where Tree just isn't sitting on him.
That could mean the Origen go for a game plank here, because with one of the big, I'm not going to say counters, but with the Maokai taken off the board, I think it does open up the GP, but then you're obviously saving your jungle pick for last, which you typically don't want to do. So are they really going to do Olaf again?
Nah, it's going to be Rek'Sai. It's going to be Rek'Sai. Locked in for Xerxes. It's his third most played. He's got 2 games on it, so it's tied with Elise and Zac after the Gragas and the Karthus were removed. Fnatic here, options for their jungle, their top lane and their mid lane. And Aatrox has made its way through picks and bans so far, and Whippo is a very strong Aatrox player.
I mean, he kind of made a name for himself on it, right? Like, it's one of the champions that teams would just respect ban away from him because of how talented he was on it. And speaking of respect champions, Nemesis and his Cassio are definitely a match made in heaven. It's one of his best champions. It's something that whenever he locks in, he always has a good performance on it. So it looks like Fnatic going for a similar approach to what OG went last game, scaling team fight. They have good scaling in the bot lane, pretty defensive. They have Cassio, which has okay gank setup, but when paired up with the Gragas, you have a lot of damage. Now they just need a strong AD top laner to help provide a lot of damage, and I think Aatrox fits the bill perfectly. So I think Fnatic have got a pretty well-rounded comp right now. I think that they have easy lanes that they can play around in top and mid, and obviously that's been the focus for Fnatic this series. They've kind of abandoned bot lane and allowed them, or left them rather, to their own devices. And so I think that, I think Fnatic's comp has kind of got a bit of everything, and I'm curious as to how Origen is going to round things out, because I think the Rek'Sai pick makes their comp a little bit awkward. So they're going to, so they're going to stick with the Gangplank. So the problem right now that Origen have is that in the top lane at very early levels, GP will have prio, but usually this matchup is slightly more Aatrox favored because of how aggressive you can be. I think that you don't have a lot of gank setup in the top lane. I think it's hard to gank mid lane outside of level 6, which means you have to prioritize on finding kills in the bot lane. So the goal for Origen should be to do exactly what they did previously, and the only hope that you have if you're a Fnatic fan is that Hylissang doesn't have the same performance that he had in the early game of last game. If they just keep playing safe and they avoid the risk of a dive, then they should be pretty safe. And the thing is, Nukeduck can't guarantee Prio against a Cassio because she's much safer in terms of the 1v1, and every time Nukeduck tries to approach the wave, he's going to get punished by the poke from Cassio. So I don't think it's going to be as easy for OG to be able to roam down and set up plays like they could in game 1, and I think that Hylissang is going to respect Xerxes a lot more than he did before, but you have to bear in mind Alphari's Gangplank ultimate can also impact the bot lane. So this game is all going to be about, can Xerxes get upset fed again? If he can't, then Fnatic is set up to take game 4 and move on to the next round against Mad Lions next week.
Well, we'll see. I wonder if Nukeduck runs Predator boots in the mid lane on the Rumble. We have seen it before for those roams down towards the bottom lane, if that's where Origen want to invest. Of course, Rek'Sai better ganking top lane when you are on red side because you can come in from behind the lane, or ganking bot lane when you're on blue side because you can come in from behind the lane. It's not the easiest gank path for Xerxes if he wants to go down towards that bottom lane, but there are still avenues for him to approach. Hylissang having 2 health bars will probably help him out just a tad. I also
think Hylissang's a really good Tahm Kench. Like, he's played it a few times this split. So I think champions where he can just get into the thick of things. He's also running the exhaust. So I wouldn't be too worried looking at this. I think that right now Fnatic is really set up for success. I think they have, you want to talk about OG comfort picks from last game? This is like Fnatic comfort picks across the board. Gragas, the Aatrox, and the Cassio are like 3 of Fnatic's most comfortable picks right now. So I think Fnatic is really looking good coming into this game.
Let's get into game 4 of Fnatic versus OG. And Vetti, you were talking about comfort picks. I've had a quick look at the numbers. Bwipo played 1 Aatrox game this split, won it, unkilled. Nemesis played.
Well, that was the Nocturne top game, mate.
Yeah. Nemesis played 4 Cassiopeia games this split, undefeated on that champion. Selfmade has played 6 Gragas games, 83% win rate on that champ. Hylissang, 100% win rate on the Tahm Kench. And during the regular season, Reckless played 1 game on Senna and they won. He's only lost 1 game of the 4 he has played so far on Senna. So it is 5 he's played so far on Senna, including this one. But yes, there were a lot of champions that Fnatic are very comfortable on, and Origen do feel like they put themselves in a little bit of a one horse, or not one. They put a lot of their eggs in one basket in saying we have to get upset ahead. If we don't get upset ahead, we can't really do that much.
Yeah, I think it's going to be tough. We'll see if they can pull it off. Excuse me. What I think is interesting is that Xerxes is starting on bot side of the map. Rek'Sai has very strong early ganks, so often you will see Rek'Sais go for level 3 ganks. One of the old Rek'Sai clears was to do a full red side clear into then level 3 gank, and I was kind of expecting him to do blue into Gromp into red to then look for a gank, but it looks like he's going to skip the Gromp, go into Wolves, which is obviously like perfectly fine because the Rek'Sai clears the jungle so quickly with her Q, but usually you will look for a gank around level 3 because of how easy it is to tunnel in, get that knock up, and then as long as your laners have enough damage, you can find a pretty effective kill. The question is, will he actually look for it? Because it looks like that he is going for his Raptors, so his priority is not going for any early ganks for the time being.
Now, getting that extra experience from the jungle early on, of course, Wolves give you less experience than a Gromp, so if he had done blue into Wolves into red, he wouldn't have hit level 3. Nemesis stepping forward here to get some vision, knows that the Razorbeaks have been cleared, and Xerxes will just go around to do his red. We saw a little bit of trading in the bottom lane. Reckless taking a bit of a bad trade, but he has the Piercing Darkness, so he can just heal that up pretty easily, and it shouldn't be too much of a bother for the Fnatic bottom lane.
So you can see that Selfmade has done a full bot side clear. Xerxes is now looking to get information on where enemy jungler is. He has now spotted out Selfmade. He could go for a bit of a cheeky smite steal, but Selfmade does have information as well.
Puts the ward across the wall. Xerxes looking for the knock up into the queue. Selfmade gets it. Oh no, wait. Yes, Selfmade does get it. He's got blue as well. Good smite there from the Fnatic
good
jungler.
Combo there from the Q plus smite plus E combo. Bwipo's super low. Is he just going to do a drive-by here?
He is. He's looking for the gank. Bwipo Lands the Inferno Chain, splashes forward, trying to pull Xerxes back, but now Afari takes the turret aggro. Xerxes has to flash away from Selfmade, who's flashing forward as well. Ends up being 2 flashes on the side of Fnatic to 1 on Origen.
So it looks like that Bwipo got very low in terms of these early trades. And like we talk about it every game, right? Gangplank, levels 1 to 3, one of the strongest laners in the game. The passive burn is just so obnoxious. And OG was setting up for a dive. We talked about how Xerxes could look for an early gank, and after getting level 3, he decided to just go straight to the top. It was obviously very dangerous, because Selfmade was in the area, but as you highlighted, Medic, 2 flashes for 1, definitely going to be worth it, and also a pretty big CS advantage in favor of Alphari right now. So after going back, grabbing himself an early Doran's Blade, he's going to feel quite comfortable in this 1 versus 1. He's going to try and keep up the pressure, as we can see across the board, that advantage going in favor of Upset, as you would typically expect in these fasting lanes. Meanwhile, small advantage for Nemesis in the mid lane.
Oh, Whipper with a huge trade onto Alphari there. I mean, Alphari has the oranges, so he's okay for the moment. Hylissang going to be able to get away from this gank in the bottom lane. Hook doesn't connect on Reckless, protecting the dodge, but Reckless just runs straight back underneath this turret and answers with a little bit of damage of his own. I do want to come back to that, the fact that Selfmade and Whipper have burnt their flashes. It makes it actually very easy for Alphari to lane here as well, because even if he gets caught out by Bwipo, if Selfmade's coming in, he doesn't have to predict the body slam flash. He can just wait for the body slam and then flash away afterwards. So Reckless actually using heal there in the bottom lane. He's a little bit nervous that Destiny was going to land the play, as Selfmade is just waiting around the corner.
He was he realized he got too close to the wave and that he was in flare range, so he used heal to increase the movement speed to just get out of flare range before the animation came through. So definitely very hesitant, but like I think we were both looking at that Thresh and thinking, yeah, he could definitely land flare right now, and so it's very understandable why Reckless would do that. Definitely a small mistake on his part as the pressure continues to come out.
Oh, good hook tank there from Hylissang. I saw the hook coming out after the Gravitum root landed. I was nervous for Reckless, but Hylissang standing in the way of the hook. This is one of the benefits of, you know, if you commonly get caught out by skill shots, play a champion that wants to get caught out by skill shots when they're aimed at your teammates. Works for Hylissang.
Ooh, I like what Fnatic's bot lane is doing right now. They're setting up a bit of a freeze. This is going to keep the wave pushing in their favor. And notice how it stops Upset from going back to base, because he's like, okay, this isn't okay. We're going to lose way too much farm, and Reckless and Hylissang are going to set up the wave too optimally. So we've got to push this out. In an ideal world, they want to push this all the way up to the tower. So you'll see Upset approaching, and then when it's underneath the tower, he'll disengage. So now Upset and Destiny rather can get a safe recall without too much worry. The risk, of course, of that play is Selfmade could have shown up, set up a gank, and then because Upset and Destiny have overstayed, they obviously die in that exchange, but that doesn't end up happening.
Destiny staying around to catch the wave, trying to do the same thing on the other side, because Fnatic obviously will want to hard push it, knowing that Upset on Aphelios has backed. So the support's duty is to make sure that that wave doesn't crash into the tower, or at least to be able to hold it for a little while. You can see Reckless is going to try and trade in. Actually, with the Last from Grace, that's a catch going out. Bwipo pops the world under in the top lane. Selfmade's on the top side of the map as well, but with the Cannon Barrage coming out, Bwipo shouldn't be long for the world. First blood goes over to Alphari. Destiny had to burn Flash, I believe, in the bottom lane.
Yeah, so the bright side for Origen is that while their lanes are difficult to gank outside of the bot 2v2, the fact that they were able to burn that very early flash due to the early pathing from Xerxes means that they can come back to top lane and actually get a kill onto Bwipo. This has put Alphari in a fantastic position, because not only does he now have an even bigger CS advantage,
but Destiny's dead. Destiny's dead, even with the heal coming out, but they're looking to turn it around. The Ignite going down as Reckless gets gobbled up, eaten up. He's done! Destiny might even survive! Oh my goodness! Fnatic baited in, Destiny able to survive for a moment. The Tongue Lash doesn't connect. It's a double for Origen in the bottom lane. And what a superb start it is for Origen in this game.
And it ends in disaster for Fnatic's duo. They looked like they were set up for success, but it ends up floundering, and we'll get a look at that in a second. As Xerxes, he's been sitting in this top lane for a while. He's been waiting for his prey to overstep, and the second Bwipo shows up, they're able to find that quick kill. But here we see Destiny taking a huge amount of damage as he tries to freeze the wave for his AD carry. Yes, Upset is a level down, but of course he then picks that back up. And then the collapse starts to come through. Destiny and Upset, they want to... Oh, he uses Hex, but I don't know what Destiny's doing here, honestly. Like, that was a good hook and a great exhaust, but the action isn't over yet.
Void Rush coming out. Bwipo trying to land the Dark Blade, but in the end, Alphari and Xerxes will get the kill. Second kill of the game for Alphari, and this top lane is quickly snowballing away from Fnatic.
I mean, Medic.
Yep. Silver Scrape.
This is... Let's not jump to conclusions, but Origen seem to be finding a formula for success right now, or Fnatic seems to be collapsing, because this is the second time now where, like, in the last game, Hylissang was getting caught out by ganks, right? That happens, you know, you get ganked. It's not a big deal. But now they're losing 2v2, right? Like, Reckless was in our ult flow. Many people, like, I put Hylissang as my best support of the split, and now he's getting hooked once again.
He does have the thick skin, but the box is coming down. Upset and Destiny are a level up here. Hylissang trying to turn on to Destiny. You can see Upset steps in front of him, trying to get the Devour, and Destiny will fall 1-for-1, but it's Hylissang who gets the kill, and now Upset is going to open up on Reckless. However, Upset will take a lot of damage, needs to switch over his guns if he wants to heal up towards that Severum. The 2v2 coming out in Fnatic's favor there, but still, Upset now 3 kills in, Vedius.
So, yes, that exchange was definitely the best case scenario for Fnatic. Even though they were a level down, they were even able to find a successful 2 versus 2. So, props to Fnatic there. But the problem is the kill went on to Hylissang. And as you mentioned, Upset is the one that secured that other kill. And as our observers highlight, 3.7k gold on Upset. And remember what we were talking about, Medic? Who needed to get ahead? Who was the priority to get ahead in this comp? For Origen, it was Upset. And he doesn't need his jungler, they're just straight up winning the 2 versus 2, so that gives the freedom for Xerxes to just hard commit to the top side of the map. So now they have 2 winning lanes, and now they're looking to contest the Infernal.
Xerxes has the level advantage, but Selfmade able to land the smite. Fnatic will be able to walk out of this one. And I know we're talking so much about Upset, but the reason we do is because he and Reckless are key carries for their respective teams. When you look at Origen and you look at how they are able to win these games, it's all about getting Upset ahead. He's got the second highest KDA in the league, the second highest damage a minute as an AD carry, and he falls behind in CS a little bit in lane, but if you can get him ahead, he can really take the game by the scruff of the neck.
I mean, after Kazi's performance yesterday, there's obviously been a lot of debate around who our second best AD carries are, but when we just look at the numbers, Upset and Reckless are our 2 best performing AD carries from the regular season. So coming into this matchup, a lot of eyes were going to be put into this 2 versus 2 in the bot lane, especially when you look at the support difference. Like, Hylissang has been praised by many as the best or second best support in our league, and Destiny has not even been put in the conversation for top 3. Some are even critical enough to say that he's not even in the conversation for top 5. And when you look at how the game, for the most part, expectations were like, okay, well, they can't even deal with the Senazillion. But now Upset and Destiny are winning these 2 versus 2. And I can already hear fans. It's the classic Bjergsen perspective, you know, like, put Reckless on a carry. You know, why is he the support? Why is he the one standing back? And when you look at those stats, that's not because he was playing things like Senna, Medic. It's because he was the one getting Misfortune. He was getting Aphelios, and we haven't seen Reckless on that yet. But based on the way Origen is playing, they might have to force that as we're going into a fight.
Abyssal Void's used there by Hylissang to try and join this. He's going to land a smite. Ripper with the World Ender. They're looking to try and pick up that Eye of the Herald, but I don't know if Origen can approach us too easily. Now, Nukeduck does have the ult. Will Origen just settle for the fact that Fnatic don't get the Herald? That seems to be the case. They've gone back to farming. They say, okay, we can get some lanes, waves, we can get some CS. And Fnatic...
But look... Yeah. Look at the wave states, Medic. Like, the mid wave just gets pushed in, the top wave gets given full control over for Alphari, and yes, while it does disappear and Origen aren't able to pick that one up, Fnatic lost a lot of map control in that situation, allowing, look, Upset gets a reset faster. He's going to start making his way down to bot lane. The Rumble, oh, okay, the Rumble didn't choose to reset. I thought Nukeduck also decided to do it, but he's going to hold off for a little bit. Destiny gets a good reset off as well, so Fnatic members are going to be a little slower back to lane. But for the most part, still overall pretty even trade.
Actually looks like Nukeduck is taking a bit of an adventure here. Getting a ward in by the red buff. Very good for spotting Selfmade out as his camp is up in a little while. Upset in a very strong position. But Essence Reaver finished now on this AD carry. Xerxes is waiting. He knows. He knows that Selfmade is here. He's going to tunnel in. It lands the knockup on Selfmade. Selfmade's going to try and get out and has to flash. Oof. And that's a 2-level advantage for Xerxes in the jungle now, Vedius.
Yeah, but I'm not quite sure what happened there for Xerxes, because normally... I know what happened there for Xerxes. He didn't have Hail of Blades, that's why. I'm not kidding. So I watch Ender's Rek'Sai so much that normally when you run Hail of Blades, you can land all 3 of your Qs within the knockup. So what you normally do is Q, Q, E, and then if you can land the last auto, you normally will, but you'll often just use your ult instead, and that's more than enough to get yourself an execute. And so when I was looking at that play, I was like, why didn't his Q come out that quickly? And it's because he wasn't running Hail of Blades, it's because he was running Conqueror instead. So I honestly think if he was running Hail of Blades, he would have found that solo kill there. But yeah, there you go.
Well, we'll see if the Kong pays off for him some of the maps. I'm sure Ender is tweeting furiously right now, saying, like, if you had Hail of Blades, you would have got that. Bottom lane tower falls in favor of Origen. Upset is sitting about 6,000 gold right now, where Reckless and Hylissang are about 3,000 to 4,000 on either champion. In the top lane, however, Reckless and Hylissang have been able to take 3 plates off this turret, and maybe we'll get one more. They decide against staying around because they know Upset is on his way. Looks like it actually might be an Infinity Edge second here on the AD carry, as I don't believe Runan's builds out of the Quick Cloak.
Oh, don't test me on my component
No,
knowledge, Medic. Like
I've been playing a bunch of AD carry recently on my Smurf. If any teams are looking for one, I'm gold 2, by the way, like 60% win rate. I'm gold. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it doesn't. But I'm gonna check it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's the Zeal plus Dagger.
Kirchi's Shard, yeah.
Anyway, yeah, because I'm always wrong when it comes to itemization for AD carries. Like, I know what the 4 builds are, so I'm going to quickly move away from this. Matt and Drake spawns in 15 seconds, Medic. That's likely going to be the primary objective.
Oh, it does, because Zeal builds out Cloak. That's the mistake I made.
God damn it, Medic.
Yeah, I forgot
Look,
the Zeal.
this is why you can't test me on these things.
I wasn't testing you, I was testing myself, and I came up wanting, as I have done so many times in the past, sadly. But, come back to the game, as you say, Mountain Drake up very soon here, Vedius. In fact, it's already up.
I wonder if... See, now I'm sitting here asking myself component questions because I see the early Null Magic Mantle in Nukeduck's inventory. So at first I thought, oh, he's probably going for Merc Treads, but then he's also completed his...
He's got Sorcerer's Shoes, so yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Not. That's what I'm saying. So I'm like, he might be rushing Banshee's Veil, trying to secure that, because I understand that against Cassio, if you block the poison, then it's great. Yeah. But it's super easy to proc Banshee's Veil as a Cassio because you just land E, and because the cooldown is so low, then it's...
It's
so
like
I don't think it makes sense to go Banshee's Veil against the Cassio. So he might just be building it for the early MR. Hook does land in top lane.
Yeah, onto Hylissang. That's not the target you really want, and Destiny has some damage turned back around onto him. The heals come out. Upset, not going to go any further. Does land the root. This is the thing about Thresh, you're actually surprisingly squishy, especially if you're going towards Redemption, which is the build that Destiny's gone for.
Yeah, I mean, you're right, and we saw that right there. And Hylissang, by going for the Sunfire, is also very tanky. So you saw that he was actually sustaining a huge amount of damage in that 2 versus 2, and notice that Nemesis now has Prior in mid, so he's using that to move into topside jungle, and Selfmade is clearing out the river. So he has his eyes set on the top lane. They want to try and secure this tower, but Xerxes here to cover. Level 10, big level advantage, they're looking for plays.
Upset going for the root. Oh, Destiny doesn't quite land the hook onto Hylissang, who was waiting in the bush to devour his AD carry. Xerxes here still a 2-level advantage in the jungle, has the Black Cleaver on its way alongside the Warrior Enchant finished. Actually looks like the magic resist was purely magic resist, as you now have a Oblivion Orb complete on Nukeduck in the middle lane, so maybe just wanted something to survive against the Cassio.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Against double AP and Selfmade and Nemesis, like, it's perfectly reasonable to itemize that way. I'm curious as to what he does build it into later. We'll keep track of that. But notice that Nukeduck is now coming in on the flank.
Nemesis, the Petrifying Gaze was dodged away, and that means the Equalizer can come down. Nemesis doesn't have Flash, but does have the Seraph. Xerxes on the chase here. If he lands that he
missed it. Oh, that was close.
If he lands that, he was going to roar his way into the fight. Selfmade. Excuse me?
It may have been to just zone the bot lane of Origin away
he
to
definitely
allow
zoned them for a second.
I mean, for sure. But I don't know if he was looking for a pick, because his team definitely wasn't in a position to set up that play. Tahm Kench ultimate now to help his AD carry get out of harm's way as Origen set their eyes on another outer tower. And Origen, they've had great control over this early game. A lot of it obviously comes off the back of winning the 2v2 bot lane and Xerxes camping the top side of the map, to mean that Alphari is now just straight up winning that 1 versus 1 with the Trinity Force already completed. He's constantly forcing Whippo to play more defensively, and Reckless and Hylissang, well, they're actually doing pretty well in the straight up 2 versus 2s. Unfortunately, if the jungler or anyone from the side of Origen shows up, they can't commit to that fight just because of the big difference between some of the animation. There's the GP ultimate, there's the Rumble ultimate that could come down, and the fact that Xerxes is level 11 as well. So Fnatic don't really want to fight right now. They're going to rely on the scaling aspect of their comp. I do still think they have a very solid late game, and I think that as the game goes longer, it's going to be harder for Origen to play, but right now, with the goal lead that they have, with the itemization that they're working towards, they should be feeling very comfortable.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where you look back at the first dragon that Xerxes was almost able to get in and steal and wonder if Origen being on a quicker clock towards Soul Point, especially with it being a Cloud Drake, could be the difference in this game. Because if Fnatic do scale up, if they're able to be the pests that they were in the last game and delay and delay and delay, their scaling does look very strong. And we are on a much longer clock for that Cloud Soul. Origen still needs to get 3 more dragons if they're going to hit it. Xerxes managed to catch out Nemesis here. No flash, remember. The Petrifying Gaze is going to land. The Void Rush will come out just in time, but Nemesis is able to get the kill. And now Bwipo's fighting off towards the bottom side as Nuke Duck forced away. The flash in. Upset. There's the hook, though. You can see the jump in from Selfmade. He goes golden. Hylissang gobbles up Bwipo to get him out. The Moonlight Vigil's going to connect as well. And Selfmade is down. 1 for 1 so far in this trade. Hylissang trying to get away, but he doesn't have the flash. All he's got is an exhaust. And at the moment, the stopwatch won't delay for long enough. Healed up with a Piercing Darkness, but in the end he will fall, and Origen get 2 kills.
So initially that play did not look promising for Origen. Xerxes dropping so quickly meant that Fnatic were in a position to turn it around, but the moment they chased onto the rest of Origen, that was when Destiny came up clutch, but now they have the right set on Alphari.
Yeah, it feels like he's being a bit greedy staying around here. Got the movement speed to Cannon Barrage to try and turn it back. Whoa, Reckless takes half his health. Senna is a squishy champion, and when you're playing into a Trinity Force with that Sheen proc, it can be pretty surprising how much damage a Gangplank can put out.
Yeah, he does use his ultimate there, so he's not going to have that available for a while, and with the Drake spawning in about 40 seconds, he may end up regretting that, but we'll see as we jump back into the replay. So let's see how all this action started off. Xerxes has information on where the Cassio is. Great showcase from our observers utilizing the Rek'Sai passive to identify where Cassio has been locked down, so the knockup comes through. And again, like, you're looking at this, he gets stunned up by a great Cassio ultimate from Nemesis to lock him down and then to disengage. And this is where they're like, okay, we can chase onto Upset. The flash comes through, but then a great hook with the box. Selfmade actually flashes in and gets hit by the box himself. He gets slowed down, can't lock down Upset, and you actually create a 4 versus 2 situation because Nemesis can't follow. Reckless doesn't have his ultimate available to offer the utility, or rather the healing and damage that it offers. So then they can just chase down Hylissang, and they end up finding 2 quick kills, even though, because Bwipo was able to escape. So great stuff there from Origen. They're continuing to expand their gold advantage.
Yeah, and they got the Rift Herald and put it down just in time in this middle lane. However, Bwipo has a flank. Upset with the Lantern. We'll try and dodge away. Bwipo trying to land that Dark Blade. They jump in. Upset's very low already, but Bwipo caught underneath the turret now as Upset can open up the big guns. Xerxes going in for the knockup, but Hylissang's going to take a lot of damage, and Bwipo's going to get spat out right into the jaws of Origen, who can't quite get him down. Moonlight Vigil connects, and Upset goes unstoppable. 5-0 now on this Aphelios, and Origen can turn towards that Cloud Dragon.
And Origen are just winning out on every single fight. When we came into this series, there was a lot of discussion around who's going to look stronger. And after the first 2 games, everyone said that it was game, set, and match. Easy 3-0 for Fnatic. And coming into game 4, I looked at this draft and I thought, I don't know about this. Origen having to have a good early game against Fnatic, I think, is a challenge. Like, yes, they did it in game 3, but I don't know if they can do it again, and they've done it. And now they've held on to this lead, and now they're in a position where they get to team fight when they have such a big gold advantage, and that's where they thrive. Team fighting is what Origen does so well, and they're executing perfectly. They're playing around Alphari, they're playing around Upset, and Destiny is landing some crucial hooks. His ultimates have been game-changing, and now Origen are controlling this game. They have secured 2 Drakes. We finally get the Cloud Souls. No Zillion. This time there's no Zillion medic. However, Cloud Soul with the GP ultimate, with the Rumble ultimate, with the Aphelios ultimate, these are all such crucial ultimates that when they're available more often, just gives Origen the opportunity to fight even more often. And right now here in game 5, they are looking good, they're looking strong. They still have a lot to do to close this one out, but they're looking to take us to game 5 now.
I would be so hyped if we have. Imagine that 2 playoff series, both of them going to game 5. I'd be even more excited for Misfits Rogue tomorrow as well. We'll see if Origen are able to hold on to it, because they were in a similar position in the last game, and the Fnatic were able to keep that gold difference at about this mark, about 5,000 or so, and just stall and stall and stall. And if Fnatic get to stall this game, where you've got the Cassio, you have a lot of power coming out from the Senna as well.
The only problem is that Fnatic don't have a split push option like they did before, because the Aatrox cannot just
I think you underestimate Hylissang.
Do I?
Nah, maybe you don't. Hylissang hit with the Moonlight Vigil. Infernum comes down, doesn't do as much damage as they like. is able to walk out of that one. Ultimate's burnt with the Equalizer and the Moonlight Vigil. And actually, Fnatic burnt nothing to get Hylissang out.
I mean, he's a tanky boy. Good hook
Another
lands,
hook
but
from Destiny.
no follow-up. Destiny
Destiny's now out of position because of that. Flashes away, the last embrace coming out, he's healed up. Whippo's going to take a lot of damage, and off towards the bottom side of this, you can see Xerxes trying to fight, but a great Dawning Shadow will do a lot of healing, and Xerxes is the first to fall. Whippo, though, getting chased down by Upset. Can't quite get the kill for Fnatic, linking health bars, but managing to walk out alive.
So that was a fight on two fronts there. It looked like Fnatic was trying to collapse on Destiny initially. He doesn't end up dropping, but then Xerxes and Alphari were diving onto the backline of Fnatic, and they were not able to find any kills. So yes, this hook initially lands from Destiny, but it doesn't make any sense. The rest of his team are not in a position to follow up, so Fnatic's like, let's just punish him. He flashes out, he gets a good heal from Nukeduck. Meanwhile, Xerxes and Alphari are looking to dive onto the 3 of Fnatic. Knockup isn't enough, because look at the shielding that just comes through from Hylissang from the ultimate of Reckless on top of the grey health. And then while the E does come out onto Nemesis, he then gets the Seraph shield, which helps keeps him alive. So I think the target focus there from Xerxes was just a little bit off. He shouldn't have been trying to kill Hylissang. His goal should have been killing Nemesis or Reckless, and it ends up costing him his life. So it ends up being a 1-for-0 in favor of Fnatic, but no real advantages gained either side.
Yeah, it felt like he was split as well, because he tried to kill Hylissang and then ulted Nemesis. And I wonder if, just with all of them being on top of each other, he ulted the wrong one. Because if he ulted
I think
Hylissang
in the last moment, he realized that his ult was not enough to kill Hylissang with all those shields, so he just changed targets. I think that because he landed his Ferocious Bite onto Nemesis as well, so I think that if he just committed to Nemesis at the start of the fight, he probably would have been fine. But he just didn't factor in how much grey health Hylissang was going to get and how big the shield would be from Reckless's ultimate as well. So to be fair though, Nemesis could have just popped his Seraphs even earlier, so regardless of the target, I think it was going to be very difficult for Xerxes to successfully find that kill because the shielding on the 2 was just going to be so extreme.
Well, Fnatic able to win out that last fight. As you said, it was a battle on two fronts. Alphari wasn't really able to get onto Bwipo or onto that backline that they wanted. And now we are 25 minutes in. It's a 4,000 gold difference. Sorelia's was the first item from Destiny instead of the Redemption that I expected. He's constantly getting harassed by Hylissang and Reckless in this middle lane. Hylissang very willing just to tank up the turret, and you can see Destiny down to lower than half HP. Hylissang now has the Gargoyles and the Sunfire Cape complete. Let's look at where we are in terms of other items. 3 items on Upset. Morello Nomicon complete on Nukeduck. He keeps going for that first against this Senna instead of grabbing himself the Leandries.
Still holding onto that Null Magic Mantle as well.
Yep. And the Doran's Shield. That's the most important part.
He does have a lot of components for the Banshee's Veil right now. So, but he could also pivot this itemization into pretty much anything because this builds into almost all AP items in our game. But he could also be working towards the Andries. He could be working towards Void Staff. He has quite a few options. The Tahm Kench ult is going to be used bot to see if they can lock down Alphari. This does expose the Baron, but Nemesis is shoving top and Bwipo has TP, so I think it's super dangerous to just rush this one down.
Just actually do it. You've got Crescendum, you've got Kalibum, you've got the best guns from Upset to do this. Selfmade's going to try and get into it, and you can see actually Nemesis is teleporting down towards the bottom side. Oh no, it's Bwipo teleporting, and it's Nemesis teleporting down towards the bottom side of this fight. They've looked for Selfmade. Xerxes down to below half HP.
Wait, but Upset.
Oh, a great hook from Destiny stops Upset from getting caught out. Now he's able to flash, but Bwipo able to land the final Darking Blade, and he takes him out. And now this is an awful fight for Origen. Another good hook comes out from Destiny. The Void rush in. Bwipo healing all the way through it, and now Fnatic can find their fight. They can find the people that they want to catch out. Nukeduck trying to do what he can, but Bwipo low. Reckless and Selfmade here in time. Destiny with a good play. The Lantern coming out, but Nukeduck would take it to his certain death, but he might be dead anyway. Last Embrace is used. The Darking Blade connects, and Fnatic find a perfect fight in the river.
Absolute disaster for Origen. Upset, the key carry of the team, ends up falling. His positioning was poor. Origen, they thought that they caught out Selfmade, but it seemed like the execution was just not there. They should have made a decision to either commit to the Baron and then turn, and then disengage after not finding Selfmade, or they should have just stuck on the Baron and looked to kill it. But now the game has flipped completely on its head, and let's have a look back at exactly how this one played out. So the TP comes through, Destiny does land a hook onto Selfmade, and let's look at the follow-up CC. So the Flay comes through. A great ultimate from Selfmade stops the rest of Origen following through. And then look at the positioning from Selfmade here. He recognizes that he's overstepped. The Lantern isn't available because I think the Gangplank just took it. And then when he flashes out, he just flashes into the warm embrace of Bwipo, who just shuts him down. And with him gone, there's just not enough damage on the side of Origen. There's nothing left. So Fnatic can just run Origen down. And now Fnatic sit with the Baron, and we talked about the scaling avenue. That one crucial mistake could mean that Fnatic is now so much stronger in the team fights. Look, Nemesis is level 16. This dude is at 3 items now. Like, Nukeduck's not going to be able to match him. When it comes to these fights, I think that Nemesis is just going to be able to dominate.
Well, we'll have to wait and see, because that Baron is going to allow Fnatic to push in this middle lane. And now Origen, equal on gold. They do have the Cloud Soul as an avenue to get out of the game, but we will see if they can manage to get it, because Fnatic, as you say, have a lot of control in this game and are only going to get more gold as these turrets start to fall.
Origen were looking so good for the vast majority of this game, but that one mistake could end up costing them this whole series. Like, the amount of swing that has given over to Fnatic is absolutely huge. And yes, while Reckless is very poor, he's still completed 2 of his lethality items. He's working on his 3rd. Hylissang is so tanky, which means there's such a strong front line for Fnatic to play behind. And the gap between Bwipo and Alphari is now starting to close. Here we go, Fnatic looking to dive.
Nukeduck already almost down. He gets caught out and now upsets the next target. They're just dead. Origen can't do anything about this. They just get swept off the map. Summoner's Rift is a graveyard for Origen players, and you can see Fnatic able to take 3, only lose 1, and now can push in for an inhibitor.
Wow, and they just tower dived Origen. There was like nothing that stood in their way. They didn't even need Nemesis. I was just talking about how Bwipo had closed the gap against Alphari. He transcended the gap. He flew through the gap. This man was just so strong. And then just when it looked like he was about to die, he also had Hylissang's peel, but it wasn't enough. And now that's going to be 2 inhibitors down. Fnatic have instantly flipped this game around. And Origen, it looks like they're not going to be able to hold on for much longer.
It's not over yet, Vedius, but it is dire straits here for Origen. Fnatic, after one fight, have just totally turned this game on its head. The Baron is about to fall off, but they have got everything they wanted out of it. Double inhibs down. You've got a Cassio who's building up towards a death cap. You have a huge Bwipo as well with that Death's Dance and Black Cleaver. He is doing absolute work on this Aatrox. We know now, well, we knew before why it's been banned against him in basically every game Fnatic have played.
It's a situation, though, where Xerxes had a 2-level advantage on Selfmade for pretty much the entire game, and now Selfmade has a level advantage on Xerxes. Yes, Xerxes did just turn 14, but the fact that Nemesis is 3 levels over Nukeduck, Upset is strong, but he's not as strong as Nemesis, and now they're looking for the collapse. Nemesis, no flash.
Upset caught out again. He tries to blast cone out, but he is just locked down, and Bwipo will take him. The flash over the wall from Hylissang. He wants more. He wants a piece of this action. Xerxes is going to try and run away. Bwipo with the World Ender healed up, shielded up by the Dawning Shadow, and you can see, like, Upset can't go anywhere. Upset can't walk anywhere on this map.
Yeah, that was a great collapse from Fnatic. Good utilization of the Tahm Kench ultimate to catch Upset completely off guard, and now with so much of the damage just disappearing, Origen, they're on their last legs. They have to hold this inhibitor tower for as long as they can, but Bwipo is pushing in the bot lane as well. Super minions are coming in from everywhere. This is the last hold for Origen.
But how do you hold without your AD carry? He's most of your gold right now. Alphari can try and do something. He doesn't have the Cannon Barrage. He's used it. That turret is going low as Bwipo pushes in the Nexus towers down towards the bottom side. Origen, your last legs, is your last stand. You got to do something. You got to make a fight happen. Reckless down below half HP, but the Nexus towers are being focused down by the super minions, and that's all 3 inhibitors down. And now the push comes on. Fnatic, 5 members strong, Upset back alive, and we'll see, can they hold on? Origen, knocked back. They caught Xerxes. He goes golden. Destiny locked up in the last embrace as well. Nemesis steps forward, but he's actually getting chunked out down towards the bottom side of the fight. Nemesis is holding up 2 when Bwipo's taken 1. Upset, you got to do something miraculous here. He gets the shutdown of Bwipo. Nukeduck flashes back onto his fountain, but that's the second Nexus tower down. You can see Upset trying to get the damage on Reckless. He gets him. Nukeduck, and Origen have somehow held on to this game.
Just barely were Origen able to hold the line. Nukeduck is looking to find that final chase onto Hylissang. They want to get that ace, and they might be able to secure the Cloud Soul, but their base is in tatters. There are no structures left. All 3 inhibitors are down. And yes, Fnatic, they couldn't quite close out the game here. But look at how they're able to play this one out. So Destiny drops a lot, but Upset is left untouched on the backline, while Alphari is just 1v1ing against Nemesis. Selfmade quickly runs out of mana, and the moment Upset takes down Bwipo and Nemesis and Selfmade overstep, that's when Origen realize that they can commit to the rest of this fight. They're able to take down Reckless, they take down Selfmade, and Hylissang has to run with his tail between his legs.
But still, 3 inhibitors down for Fnatic. For Origen. There's a Cloud Drake on the map. It would be the sole Drake for Origen, but how do you even get out of your base? You can't step anywhere. You can't do anything. Baron up in 20 seconds time as well. Fnatic are in total control of this game. Origen, it would be a miracle. It would take something miraculous for them to fight back. We've seen that they can do it. But the question is now, with Fnatic continuing to scale up with the death cap almost complete on Nemesis, with 3 lethality items on Reckless, you cannot discount the amount of damage Fnatic can put out in a heartbeat.
So the thing is, the gold is even, but it's not really even, because you kind of have to look at relative damage, and Nemesis is just going to output so much more than so many of what Origen can actually offer. Alphari does have his TP up, but Origen can't really leave their base to check and contest the Baron. Their best bet is to hold the line once again and try and force a fight against Fnatic, but the problem is, with 3 waves of super minions walking into the base, there's just going to be so much that Origen has to deal with. I don't know how they can find a successful fight. Look at all these super minions in the top lane.
Well, we'll see if they can. Abyssal Voyage is used down towards that bottom lane. I think that's Hylissang just by himself using the Baron buff to push in the wave. And this is like 4 super minions. Upset's going to try and clear it out. World Ender used by Bwipo. It's last chance saloon for Origen. A good hook comes out onto Selfmade. He uses the stopwatch, and now Hylissang's in range for the Devour. Xerxes already almost dead, and he's gone. And now it's a 4v5. Moonlight Vigil coming out, doesn't connect onto Reckless, doesn't connect onto Selfmade. The hook's still missing. The hook's going wide. Hylissang puts down the exhaust, and he's just trying to focus down the Nexus. Whippo fighting off towards the top side. Upset opening up, but that is the Nexus, and that is the series for Fnatic. They will meet Mad Lions in our winner's bracket next week.
Wow, what a final game to round out the series. I thought we were going to game 5. Medic, I thought that we were going to go all the way. It looked like this was Origen's game, but that crucial Baron throw gave Fnatic everything that they needed to close out this series. What a fantastic turnaround. What great control after finding that tiny advantage. And while Origen definitely made Fnatic work for it, I think Fnatic still showcased what they were capable of, and yes, there were a couple of individual mistakes this game, like losing the 2v2 bot, the fact that top lane got shut down so heavily, definitely some things to evaluate for Fnatic. This was not the clean 3-0 that we expected it to be after the first 2 games, but Fnatic still ultimately getting the 3-1 and looking very convincing moving into the next round.
Yeah, they really did. I think there's a few things that they'll want to work on. Game 3, Game 4, there were mistakes made, especially around the bottom lane. You know, losing out the 2v2 is something that Fnatic will have to look at and have to understand how they change things. But out of the 4 teams we've seen over the last 2 days, I think Fnatic stand, head and shoulders above everyone else right now.
Yeah, at least that's what we've seen. And of course, we still have Misfits versus Rogue tomorrow. We may see something impressive from them. But as a result of this, Origen will now move down into the lower bracket. And as we've already said, Fnatic will stay in the upper bracket. They will get to go up against Mad Lions in a best of 5 next week. That's definitely not what everyone was expecting.
No.
But now Origen will be the next challenge for the winner of Misfits versus Rogue, and then the winner of that series will go up against G2. So we have a really exciting week next week, but as you rightly said, Fnatic is looking good, and I cannot wait to see what they can do up against Mad, because Mad just seem to be the young rookie upstarts that keep defying expectations. Maybe they can do it against Fnatic. I'm sure they've learned a lot in this series with watching Fnatic and Origen play, so it's going to be interesting to see what they come up with next week.
Yeah, it definitely is. It also means that either G2 or Origen will not be in our final week of playoffs, which is a little bit of a surprise for me, I'll be honest. You guys, you can get involved at home and vote for your Kia player of the series at LEC on Twitter. Bwipo, Nemesis, and Selfmade are your options. Some very good options there. I think looking at the first 2 games, Nemesis and Selfmade are definitely up there, but Bwipo had a barnstormer of a game in that last one.
Yeah, I think while Bwipo definitely did play well in the final game, for me, the ultimate player of the series has been Nemesis. He's been incredibly consistent, I think, throughout the entire series. I think he showcased a reliability in what he's capable of and how you can fall back on him when things do get very difficult. And while I don't think he always has those performances that, when you think of a Perks where he's like making all these crazy plays that dominate games. I think what he does showcase is that when the chips are down, when you need someone to fall back on, he's someone that you can always rely on. And I think his Azir performance was very solid. His Yasuo was incredibly good. And like he's played 4 different champions across this series, showed a wide array of options that he can bring to the table. And I think that overall he's had a great series. So props to Nemesis. I think he looked very good.
Yeah, I think we can all agree, though, Hylissang was robbed. That Trundle performance.
He lost that game, Medic. And a large part of why he lost is because he kept dying and Upset got super fed.
He was really distracting a lot of the time. And I think, when you role play as a champion, being a troll, playing a troll, that's the next level, in my opinion.
Right, that is true. He did really embody what that champion is. But he had a solid Tahm Kench performance as well. In any case, really I think a lot of question marks are now going to be asked around Fnatic, because if they had just 3-0'd, then you'd be like, okay, cool. Fnatic look like the best team in Europe. But then, they lost 2 early games against Origen. So maybe there's not a clear-cut gap between them and everyone else. Maybe they are exploitable. And you have to be scared when you're going up against Mad Lions, because they will exploit those mistakes. But I think what Fnatic showed is the moment they have a grip on the game, they do not let go. And they have a very firm grip. And I think that of the teams that we've seen so far, when it comes to the mid to late game, they're definitely one of the cleanest that we currently have in playoffs. So while there are definitely things to poke holes at, definitely looking incredibly stable and consistent, and definitely a force to be reckoned with right now in the LEC.
I definitely agree with you, and I think it's going to be really interesting to see how Fnatic and Mad Lions face up against each other next week, because my expectation